Yes, sir. What's up, good people? The show boy, the boy, Henry Heck, back at it again. Episode 13, brothers. Episode 13, sisters. GG or that podcast. We are at it again. Yes, sir. Bob, it's been a good week. It's been a long week. Had a lot going on, but I still was able to get a bit of gaming in here and there. Neverness to everness. Put a little more time into that, exploring, knocking out a few missions or quests or whatever you want to call them. And it's a pretty decent game, pretty decent. It's the common gotcha game trope. If you play the Hoyo game, you play this. Only difference is the combat is a little more crisp, and the world itself is a lot more open. I want to say it's as open as Wuthering Waves, except it's in the city. You know what I'm saying? It's not out in the wilderness. You're inside of a huge city. It's like you could drive, buy cars, I think that's cool. I think that is cool. Cars, motorcycles, scooters, type stuff. I think it's awesome. And spending a little more time with it, it does look better than, I was giving it credit for. I feel like at this point it's pretty on par with Zenless Zone Zero. You might find some inconsistencies here and there, like every game, but so far it's cool. It's cool. We're looking forward to finishing up the campaign of it and going from there. That's really my goal with it, because you really can't juggle too many of these games. It's too much to keep up with week to week and with the updates. That's why I say gotcha games are like the final form of games as a service, live service games. They get updates. They get crazy updates. New story content, new characters. And it happens a few times a year, quite a few times a year, to be honest with you. You might get you a gotcha game and it might get 6, 7, 8 updates a year. It might. And though they do have quote unquote battle passes, it's not really built around that. You know what I'm saying? Like the battle passes, you get benefits out of it, but it really don't affect what's going on inside of the game. You know what I'm saying? As far as I understand right now, you don't get characters in the battle pass. You know what I'm saying? You get resources up in there. So even getting the character is not really a reason to buy a battle pass. You got people who are really fans of the game and want to optimize and make sure they have all the resources to do everything they want to do for each character. They'll hop out the window about a battle pass, most likely, but you're not going to jump in there about a battle pass for skins and the usual stuff that you do it for when it comes to these shooters. It's just completely different. And these games be making a killing. So people are buying these battle passes. People are buying and rolling for these characters and these banners. I did spend because when you pre-register for the game, you get a certain amount of in-game currency and resources where you can spend. And plus they also, even if you don't do that, just playing the game and logging in day one, they give you certain resources, so you can participate in a spin and just see how it is. They got a kind of like board game type of situation, which is interesting. It made me think of Zenless Zone Zero, because in a completely different mechanic in their game, it was kind of like a board game. Like when you go inside the net and maneuver in the net, it was kind of laid out like the board game, which was cool, I thought, but a lot of people didn't like that. So I think they ended up taking that out, or adjusting it in some kind of way. But here in this game, they use it for their banner system, which is cool. You roll a couple of spaces, you move the spaces, whatever is on that space, that's what you quote unquote get. And sometimes you get some cool stuff, sometimes you don't. That's how I go when it comes to these type of things. When you're rolling, it's just what makes it kind of different on this one is you actually see something happening, like you're progressing towards something while you're making a roll. So they kind of did a good job of wrapping that package up to make it look more interesting and engaging than it probably really is, bro. You probably gonna get whatever you're gonna get, but the animation that make it pretty, kind of take your mind off. Yeah, I'm gambling right now, but hey, it's what it is. Like I always say, you don't even got to participate in that. They walk you through it and show you how it is for the first time. But after that, you don't got to do it. And they also do a good job of like putting. I give them credit for this. They do a good job of, if you want to do that, you do have to look for it. And of course, it's nothing you won't forget, but you won't accidentally wind up on that screen. You know what I'm saying? So you pretty much engage in it, in everything else, and going about the game however you going about it, as far as completing your missions, doing, you can race in this joint, find anomalies, like you search them out different. It's like kind of like bounties, where you can talk to individuals and they'll point you in direction to go do a side quest or different things on the map you can go collect. I don't even know what happened once you collect them all. I think I maybe 6, 7, 8, and they're like in different locations, like on rooftops. You know what I'm talking about. These kind of collectibles that just like spread out all over the world, and you pick them up. And you get a certain amount of them, I assume something happens. I'm nowhere near close to it, but over time, obviously, I'm gonna get more and more of them, and ultimately come to the point where I see what it does. I could look it up, but I'd rather be surprised, and I'm not really that pressed in order to see and know what's going on with it. So I have played some of that. Just playing live Tuesday, every Tuesday except this coming up Tuesday. Shout out to the big homie with Triple MJP. He's going on a little trip, go on a little reset, enjoy himself, have a grand old time. That brother deserved. That's a hard working brother right there, and I appreciate him. I appreciate that good guy. But every Tuesday except this coming up Tuesday. This past Tuesday we played some Division 2. One of my favorite games. Love that game. It was an awesome time. If you like third person shooters, you like RPGs, hop off in there. Ubisoft did an awesome job of finding a balance between it, and it meshes. They actually did it. You can mesh RPG mechanics with a third person shooter, and it be fun. You could do all kind of builds on there, and just go about the world figuring out the green poison and kill it, which is one of my favorite parts in there. And you got technologies you can leverage. It's kind of like different classes, but not really. Like there are classes, but you don't unlock those really until the end of the campaign. But you can select certain technology, the shade tech as it's called, and you just got one that's kind of like a tank, got one that's kind of like a medic, and then you got one that's got like kind of like an engineer. It's you have to go about it and play with it, but they do a good job of not really locking you into that. You can have healing abilities, and you also can have turret abilities. You get what I'm saying? You can have like engineer, bombardier type abilities, and mix that up with whichever. It don't matter. You can mix it. You can have two of them, so you can mix and match however you want to, and you can use whatever guns you want to. You can use LMGs, you can use snipers, you can use scout rifles, you can use assault rifles, you can use submachine guns, shotguns. It's a lot of different stuff you can use up in there, and they got what they call specialization weapons. This is where I would say your quote unquote class is. And you got, a crossbow that shoots exploding bolts. You got like a super heavy duty 50 cal type of sniper rifle. You got a grenade launcher, flamethrower, different stuff like this, to where machine guns, different stuff like this, to where you can build around that specialization, and then you get more benefits because of it, which I think is cool. Different, your armor sets do play a role in your attributes. This vest give you these attributes, these knee pads, these gloves, this book bag, this holster, etc., so on and so forth. What's a lot to it, that you can really get creative with the builds and how your character performs out there on the field, as far as taking out certain enemies on there and bosses, etc. And hopefully in Division 3 they bring forth that quote unquote realism mode in order to give the people opportunity to play it in a different way. Because I had went back and played Breakpoint, and it had a similar kind of thing to it, and then but you can also play it with the gear score off. And it's just like a whole different situation, because at that point it strips away the whole gear aspect and, you know, leveling and RPG side of it. Just takes that out of the way, and it's just a third person shooter. And I think that's appealing to a lot of people also, because the enemy's own Division, and with the way the RPG side of it can be kind of spongy unless you got a build to alleviate that. And I can see it kind of turn some individuals off who just want to hop on the game and shoot some shit. You know, you just want to play a cover shooter, and you want your headshot to be a headshot. You want to shoot somebody in the head and they drop right then. Well, you want to shoot an NPC in the head and they drop right then. I get that. And that part, and that's super fun. It had a whole, like, going through the full game of Breakpoint with gear score on, and then finishing it and then cutting it off. It was like a different game. Completely different game. And I like it, and I don't want them to like get rid of that portion altogether, because that's what make the game the game. You know, that's what make it not like other third person shooters. And they put a lot of time and a lot of effort in crafting this, and it works. People love it. It's amazing. They're having a whole resurgence right now on Division 2, and people getting their feet wet and engaging in these mechanics and having a grand old time. Having a grand old time. You know, this is one of the games where Ubisoft and Massive, they produced one of them ones with this year. One of them ones for this year. Like a couple years ago, they was finna end of service this. This was finna be over. It was done for. They had a skeleton crew. You know, and it ain't often at all you see a game where the studio that's working on it is a skeleton crew, not the main studio, just some random folks. Well, of course not random to them, but like they didn't make the game, they just maintained it. And to go from that back to getting this surge of resources again, back to getting all these updates again, season to season, big updates, DLCs. They're getting a PvP team back together. They gonna fix all that from where the hackers done took over, where the meta done took over. They going back in there and adjusting all this stuff. So I think of all the worry that's surrounding Ubisoft, if you're a Division fan, I don't think you got anything to worry about. I don't think, because they wouldn't just rush back in, pouring all this money, time, resources, personnel, pretty much all resources, because all these things to these companies are resources. But all these resources back into this franchise if they weren't planning on keeping it around. Because they could have shut the door a couple times on this. Even after they decided to not end it over this past year, they could have shut the door on this. But shout out to them, they didn't. And you know, I think we had a good time playing. It's always a good time, in my opinion, when you playing in the Division. I had actually jumped in this past Monday, and I was playing that. You know, I got off work. I wanted the game. I didn't really want to jump in and play Soros, because as good as it is, I wasn't trying to be stressed out. I wasn't trying to be frustrated, so I just jumped into something that's a little more chill. And got my shoot on. You know, because I did want to shoot some stuff. Keeping it all the way straight, which I did want to bust a cap or two. So I hopped into there, played that, but I am back on Soros, so I didn't play for the whole week. And I booted it back up Thursday. I booted it back up Thursday. I'm tripping. And I got up in there, explored the biome, I'm trying to unlock all the branches as I go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really trying to rush to the end of the area. I'm trying to really check out all the nooks and crannies and collect all the Lucenite, I think it's called, so I can get all my upgrades. I want to fill all these branches and trees out before I get to the end point. So that's really what I've been doing and having a good time doing that. The movement inside of this game is nasty. It is nasty. Extremely swift. Extremely. You know what I mean? Like, you really, like, if you paying attention, you can really skate through this joint unscathed. Straight up. Like, if you locked in, and this is another thing about this game too, and games like this. When you playing this, you can't really jump off and play nothing else for an extended period of time and think you finna come back in a couple of days and just slide back in and it be all good. You finna get your tail whooped. You gonna get your tail whooped for a good 15-20. That first run you hop back into more than likely gonna be a throwaway. It's because I don't know the science behind it, but it's like your brain got to unlock specific pathways in order to play this type of stuff because there's so much going on. And obviously, everything on the screen cannot kill you at one time if you yourself are in a good position. You know, you really got to pay attention to your positioning and which color projectile is coming directly at you and how you can react to that specific projectile in a particular way. Because some projectiles you can dodge through, some of them you can absorb through your shield, some of them gonna cause corrosion, some of them move faster than other ones. You know, then you also got the different enemy types, and you got to prioritize which one is more of a threat to you at that particular time where you at. You got your flying enemies, which I always prioritize the flying enemies more. That's just me, because the way they can attack you from so many more angles than, you know, just on the ground enemy. But you also have these wolf-like enemies who are swift and they can dash and dodge and jump over here and throw corrosion. Bruh, it's like your mind gotta readjust to the comings and the goings. You know, then you got these cats over here with shields. Then you got these cats over here that can teleport. You know, then you got these cats over here that can throw these spores, and then the spores land and they shoot up a whole bunch of green crows. Bruh, shout out to Housemarque. This right here, whatever people want to call it, it's bullet hell. People just want to throw extra labels on top of it. I don't know why people are doing this. You have a name for something, but because you think this version of that is much, much cooler, now we got to give it a whole new name. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to call it bullet hell, ballerina, all this type of stuff you want to call it. It's bullet hell. Let's stop overcomplicating things. You calling it what it is ain't diminishing it. Because rest assured, they know what they were making. They knew the genre they were pursuing. They knew the style of game they were pursuing. You don't have to crown them with some, you know, mythical made up thing. Like what? Why? I don't know why we as people do that type of stuff, man. I really don't. But that aside, the game is fun. The game is fun. The character is cool. You know, I like the idea because it is just more Returnal. Make no mistake about it. It's just their evolution. Like if they made Returnal and it released this year, this is what it would be. This is what it would play like. You know, it's just a natural evolution of the studio inside of a genre they chose to pursue. You know, so when people say, Ghost of Yote is better than Tsushima because of it looked better, the combat is crisper, whatever the reasons, it obviously is better than Ghost of Tsushima in those ways because the studio itself has grown, the studio has gotten better, and you know they've made an evolution on their style of game inside of that genre, so obviously it's better. So this is why, yeah, it's just more Returnal, but a better version of Returnal, because why wouldn't it be? You know what I'm saying? Like everything you do, you only gonna get better. So obviously your next project or your next product or your next game is gonna be better most of the time. Some people do fall off. And we've seen that quite a few times with some studios as far as quality and the way they go about making a game. But that's not because the people who made the previous one are worse. It's just a lot of times that you got new people at the studio, new people in certain positions, and they want to inject their specific vision of what the product should be, and it don't line up and it don't work out. So, and that's different. So, in my opinion, as long as you got the same people at Housemarque continuing to work and put out games and produce, and hopefully they get to, you know, because this is a good game, and people who played it enjoy it, people who finished it enjoy it. Of course, you got people who gonna nitpick here and there, but that's beside the point. People gonna do that with everything. The overall idea around the overall consensus around Soros is pretty fucking good. So as long as you have the same team who worked on Returnal, who worked on Soros, and who worked on whatever is next, continue pushing forward, and I don't want to say redefining the genre, but pushing the genre forward, the next game is gonna be better. It's gonna be more Returnal or more Soros, depending upon, of course, because they could try to switch it up and make some kind of open world, which I hope they do not. But they could take a specific portion of wherever they were weakest at and just improve on that. Like, in my opinion, I like the way they present the story in Soros better. Some people still like the Returnal story better. That is what it is. But in my opinion, they felt like that was a weak point, so they put a little more into it. They put a little more into, the skill tree. They put a little more into getting from point A to point B after you die, and you don't have to start all the way over. You can, but you don't have to. You can just hit this portal and pop up like right where you need to pop up at, whether you die or what have you. If you unlock a portal, you can pop up right there. And I think that's cool. I think that's evolution. And then they got the whole mod system. I ain't messed with it yet, but I have talked to some people who have messed with it, and the way you can get creative and how you want the difficulty to be with modifiers and whatnot. I don't know. I've not get engaged in it, so I can't really speak to that, but it's there. And so they're making it a point to make improvements inside the genre they chose to be in, and people are enjoying it. Shout out to them. I wish them the best. Hopefully they can, continue doing this and making games like this, because in my opinion, for this, they are the upper echelon of this, whatever you want to call it. And as far as a great studio, they're a great studio. Like, they make AAA, AA games, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because well, that just means they make triple. You know what I'm trying to say. Like, it ain't the heavy blockbuster, spectacle, and we got all the top Ben Starr, Troy Baker, we got all the heavy duty, you know what I'm saying? They just make great gameplay focused games for PlayStation Studios. That's where I'm at with it, and I think it's cool. I fuck with it. Hopefully I'll be done with it this week. And like I said, I'm just moving about, just exploring, making sure I get all the shiny things, and trying to fill out the skill trees as I go, because I want to be goddamn P. That's what I want to be. Usually I see a skill, and plus it's kind of easy to do that, to be honest with you. You get your Lumina. I mean, of course, if you die, you lose a certain percentage of them, so you're not just dying and you got this whole big bankroll and you can come back and just unlock tons of stuff. There's a penalty for it, but you don't lose them all. I think you lose. Sometimes you might lose like 40. I don't even know if it changes from run to run. I don't even know. I just know you have enough to get a couple of nodes here and there, a few nodes here and there, and I ain't mad at it. I'm with it, actually. I'm with it. Now, something else cool that happened this week. Something else pretty goddamn cool. Shout out to them boys and girls over at the Nintendo base, the Nintendo company, gaming company. Of course, they had some things pop up with the price increase. The Switch 2 finna be like an extra $50. Hey, that's not for me to talk about right now. It is what it is. For whatever reasons, there is a price increase, extra $50. But they also threw down Starfox. And you got some people complaining about how he looks, and like they pay. He look good to me. The characters look good to me. And I do also like that, because some people talk about the feet, that they don't have people feet. They got like a version of animal foot. You know what I'm saying? So how you got the different awkward bends that animals have, like foxes, they have like the awkward bends into the paw. Fox got that. And I'm with it. They got, it's more realistic, but also still, how you say, stylized. You get me? Because it don't look like a real fox pound for pound, but it does, teeter on that. And I'm with it. It's a remake. And I feel like I feel like we was just talking about Starfox, that's one of the only IP that Nintendo kind of ignore. You know what I mean? Like, they got it, it's cool. It seems like people mess with it, and it's different than what they produce. You a jet pilot, bro. Barrel rolling, shooting. Now they got tanks. Now they got submarines and different stuff different vehicles you can engage with, and you're going and completing the missions. It's got PvP on here, quote unquote, multiplayer. Only thing that I thought was kind of weird was the way they chose to present co-op, where one person controls the jet and the other person controls the guns. Because in my mind, I'm like, there's a team. Starfox is a team. It's other pilots you could play as a second person or third person or fourth person. It's other people you can play as on his team. Well, not for a fourth person, because the first person would be, you get what I'm saying. So why can't in co-op one individual take control of Falcon? Why? I don't know. But that's probably my only kind of negative about what was presented. And it's coming soon. You ain't gotta wait till next year to play it. You ain't gotta wait, to 2028. You're gonna be able to jump off in this joint soon. And it seems like the reception for it is pretty freaking high, especially at that price point. You can get this joint for a high 50. You can get this joint for a high 50, which, in my opinion, hot take, that's what I think Nintendo Switch games should cost anyway. They should just now be getting to $60. In my opinion. Hey, it ain't nothing they doing over there that's costing, that's blowing the game price up to $70, $80. Ain't nothing. You was just applauding them for, being able to build games for cheap. So why then are their games costing more? You get what I'm saying? Because it ain't like they're presenting you anything spectacular. It's not groundbreaking stuff what they're doing. But that's just my opinion. People feel how they feel about it, and to some people, it's worth every bit $80. But this one ain't that. This one, you can get this joint for a high 50 shot at Walmart and get your game on. Get your mother freaking game on, and that is dope. It's really dope. How they kind of, because they did say they was gonna do the variable pricing, the variable pricing, whatever the term is for it, and they making good on it. So it was kind of one of those situations where it was good news and bad news, but the good news outweighed the bad news, especially in my opinion. Because if you sit back and look at, okay, it's a $50 increase. Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. You don't really want to go up and pay more for something that ain't really different. It's still just the Switch 2. It's the same Switch 2 that came out last year. The same one. So why is it that I'm paying more for the exact same thing? No improvements, no upgrades, no nothing. And then people say whatever market tariff, RAM, what have you. So that don't feel good. But realistically, a person that wanted a Switch 2 can easily alleviate that, through whatever ways you can find $50. As arrogant or weird as that may say, what do you mean $50 is a lot? Sure, $50 is a lot of money, but the average person wastes $50 in a month. Being realistically, you spent $50 on something that you could have not spent $50 on and been okay and been able to do without. Because I know, I'm gonna just speak for me. Like, over this previous year, I bought a lot less games, a lot less, because I was looking at like I'm buying a lot of stuff and not playing it. If I'm buying the game and not gonna play it right now, I might as well not buy it right now. Why am I buying it right now if it's just gonna sit there? And a lot of the times I do that, and it's just a whole bunch of games I have and forget about, and I don't ever touch. So I could have just not bought all them bullshit games I'm not gonna play anyway, and had more than enough to make up for this $50 increase. And that's just me. And even like going through life throughout the day, I be buying some bullshit. Yesterday, I bought some fucking strawberry jam PB&J Reese's cups. And was it expensive? Fuck no. It was like $2. But at the same time, if I go through my previous week of how many $2 things I bought and it was some bullshit, I have you know what I'm saying? I might have $5, $6, $8. It might be that type of situation. And over the course of a month, and I don't make those kind of bullshit purchases buying these bullshit, I might have the extra $50 they was asking for. Obviously, I'm not cheering for them and rooting for them, saying, yes, I get to pay an extra $50. Fuck no. Fuck no. But if I were individual in a position and I really wanted to switch to, and, you know, I was saving for it, also keeping it, I mean, you got to September. This is not a change taking place right now. You know, so if you weren't on the fence and do have the money and just weren't sure about getting it, you might, not telling you what to do, but you might want to go ahead and pick that thing up because you wait too late. You got to pay the $50. Then you got to spend another month saving up or doing whatever it is you got to do in order to, you know, pick that bitch up. You feel me? But because that's what I started thinking when I heard the news. I was just like, all right, you know, it's about time. Obviously, they were gonna raise the price. I mean, people was oh, not man, you fucking crazy. If everybody else did it, even if they didn't need to, even let's because keep it real, I do believe, Dan, it's just me. I do believe a lot of these motherfuckers is jumping this shit up just because they can blame it on some other shit. It's an opportunity to jump that bitch up. Then out here talking about, oh, no, I don't want to hear no fucking apology. Put the fucking fries in the bag. I do not. First of all, you not sorry. For number one, you not. Number two, we ain't fucking friends. What you apologize to me for? I don't give a fuck. And you do all this, and then, you know, obviously I got to do the shit for the PR and all this stupid shit. But realistically, I don't give a fuck. You ain't got to apologize to me. I didn't even read the bitch. Like, you know what I mean? They do this shit when it comes to delays and all this other, like, we're sorry and we ultimately come to, I don't give a fuck. The game ain't coming out when you said it was. Okay, when's it coming out? Okay, cool. Now, we not wish listing shit no more. But that's just because why wish list the game? So you don't forget about it? If you was that into it, would you forget about it? Or is just so many other games coming out? Well, then just get the ones you're more interested in. That's how I'm looking at stuff these days, bro. I'm not trying to, will I see a game that's cool and I'm interested in? Yeah. But by the time that shit come out, I might be playing something else and can't get to it anyway. Oh, let's just say we got it. For what? Who cares? Don't nobody give a fuck if you got the game, bro. Motherfuckers just want to see you playing this shit. To be honest with you, I don't give a fuck with motherfuckers about shit they want. Because they ain't going to be posting no gameplay screenshots to 3 months later anyway when they get to it. Get that bitch in 3 months then. You get me? And that's how I'm rocking. That's how I'm coming. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, I'm going to wishlist this game. More than likely, something else that I'm more interested in gonna be out. Or I might not even be finished nowhere near finished the shit I'm currently playing. And I would be doing myself a disservice if I cut off what I'm currently into to then just foot dip over here and check this shit out for 5, 15, 20 minutes. That could have been 15, 20 minutes I had over here in this, being even closer to finish this project I'm on right now. Or this game I'm on. Why am I trying to juggle these games at the same time? What I'm doing that for? Especially if, like, you talking about some story shit, some story driven, where you trying to keep track of the characters and the plot and the quest line. Then you hop over here, learning new characters, new plot. Like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. I ain't doing that no more. And I almost did it this week, I almost cut Metro. I booted it up, everything. Got to the where they explain about the load, the save, and all that. I cut that bitch right. I said, what the fuck I'm doing? I'm playing Sorrows. I'm not finna boot up these games like this. I'm listen. And it's not a situation where I'm not gonna get to it, and I'm for sure getting the Metro for sure. But like, no, it's gonna take me twice as long to finish if I'm gonna play them at the same time. I could have just knocked this joint out, because the idea of it's the same time, it's gonna be the same time. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Well, if it's an hour over here and an hour over there, ultimately it's all gonna add up. Stop this. This is not how life gonna work. Something gonna happen where you feel like, you might just feel like playing more of this one today. So it's not gonna be an even time split between the two of them. Some days you might not touch this one and just be on this one. But hey, we didn't got way off of Starfox. But that aside, that look good. There's also some whispers about, an increase on their online for Japan, but they not finna just increase it in Japan and not increase it in the West. That's not how that gonna work. So if they gonna get an increase, rest assured the West is getting the increase for sure, because they do like to spare their own brothers and sisters a price increase if they can, which to be honest, I would too. If I could charge individuals in Georgia, my homies, if I could charge my homies less and make that up by charging everybody else a little bit more, yeah, hell yeah. Why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I give more grace to people I know? Why wouldn't I give more grace to people who are the same as me? Obviously you would, if you had to, if you could. Yeah, that's how I'm rocking. You know what I'm saying? I also seen something interesting that the Switch 2 is actually more expensive than the PS5 over there. And I was like, hold on. I think it's like $30 more expensive now with the increase. I thought that was kind of crazy. When I seen, I was like, yeah, that's kind of interesting, But of course, the Switch 2 is in more demand due to the way they live their lives over there, and just how they maneuver. They are handheld people, and at this point in time, PlayStation just does not. And to be honest with you, even if PlayStation were to produce a legitimate handheld system, I still don't believe it will keep up with what the Switch can do. I just do not. Because not only do they not only are they more set up for a handheld, but it's also the type of games they like to play. It seems like Nintendo has more of that. Just the type of stuff they into. So not only would PlayStation have to produce native handheld, but they would also have to produce games that they like. Like when you go to PC and people talking about, how the games don't sell. Well, obviously, because PC gamers play a different type of game. Like how when these developers, they'll put like Death Stranding and Resident Evil on mobile and sell 200 copies. People who are on mobile ain't playing them type of games. They not doing that. Not us so, because they was hyping this. It was probably 3-4 years ago, whatever the iPhone was. They was hyping the fact that you could play Death Stranding and Resident Evil. And I'm like, brother, there ain't a soul on the whole of the earth who is rushing home from work with their iPhone, hooking that joint up to a TV, and playing Resident Evil or Death Stranding. Not a soul on earth is having that game, is picking up a 6-pack on the way from work. Getting home, plugging that goddamn phone up, connecting that DualSense, and game, and don't got no consoles. Cause these ain't the type of games you just play. It just don't match. It don't match. You want to be popping over there on PC, you got to create the type of games that be popping on PC. So if they want to really and truly compete with Japan, not with Japan, but in Japan with the Nintendo Switch, you got to meet them folk where they at. That's what you got to do. Now, sure, potentially, maybe you will have access to certain games like a Genshin Impact and like these popular gacha games. You will potentially have access to these games on this handheld that you can't play them on Nintendo. These games are popular. These games do make a good amount of money. But how popular are they? Are they popular enough over there? Now, sure, in China, you might clean up. You might clean up. And that could be, a strat, like to the point to where, Nintendo just got Japan. They just got them. It is what it is. We heading up north. You get me? We heading over here. We finna see what the Chinese brothers and sisters talking about. And they could just take over there, as far as like on a video gaming perspective, because they do got more people. They got tons of gamers, tons of them. But then too, you gotta make the type of stuff they like to play. People assume just because Black Myth Wukong went crazy and they supported that in droves that, all we gotta do is make a Souls like. Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, what that do? What that do? Come on now. So if you're gonna go to these other Asian markets like the Koreas and things like this, you gotta present these people what they want. And you pretty much gotta do that, everywhere. You get what I'm saying? Like, Space Marine 2 ain't successful just because it's a shooter. It's plenty of shooters out here that ain't successful. It presented the gamers with a certain vibe, with a certain, even some nostalgia thrown off in there. What folk kept saying, oh, this feel like 360 era game. This feel like PS3 era game. Gameplay, tough characters, the mood. It's kind of the dark, gritty type of joint. Gears of War, but 2026. But different. Warhammer. That's an IP. It got some oomph behind it. Huge IP right there. Can't wait for Space Marine 3. Shout out to them. They doing another year worth of content. That's how live serve. That's I think, because you got gotcha games. Like that, and that's live service, and they killing it. They killing it. And if you can, bro, if you can pop off with a gotcha game, you set for the century. You set for the eons. And then you can use that. You can do whatever you want to do. Like, instead of chasing you a battle royale, instead of chasing you an extraction shooter or what have you, you can produce you a gotcha. And it's and not to say that PlayStation, because they got one of the biggest, longest running. They got one. You know what I'm saying? So they set. But, I take that back, because a lot of companies are attempting it. A lot of companies are attempting it. Some just not. They not hitting. You get what I'm saying? Because that crowd is. Them women bet not have no clothes on. That's all I'm saying. Them women bet not have no clothes on. If you got women in there, they better not have no clothes on. And if you got dudes in there, they better be part animal. You better be a wolf individual inside of there. That's just the crowd you got to cater to. Now, I'm not going crazy over no furs and all this type of stuff. But there was a game that had issue this week. A Chinese game. And the government got, they said, hey, listen here. They hit them with a listen here. They brought it back up. These characters censored and folks is mad. Rest assured. This game ain't gonna survive. It's not gonna survive. Cause that's just the type of That's the type of stuff these folk like. They like they gooner shit. I ain't seen an individual on timeline leave our gooner games alone. You know what I'm saying? They hop on here with confidence saying this shit. Whole confidence. It ain't that deep to me, but it's deep to he. You get what I'm saying? Because he want it. He like it, he love it, and he wants more of it. But, you know, so if you able to produce, like, shift up. Nick A got us a victory. Third person cover shooter, that's it. It's point and click third person cover shooter. But guess what? You know what you can do in there? See them cheeks jiggle. See them cheeks jiggle. Folks ain't playing that for no gameplay. The visuals ain't even that good, to be honest with you. You can run them visuals on a PS Vita and it be peak. You get what I'm saying? I played it for a little bit. It's cool. And it's a whole bunch of systems in there, like managing and, you know, resources and, you know, building up certain buildings and store, you know what I'm saying? Different stuff you can do on there. And go out, do your missions, because it is a story in there now. It is a story in there. You moving along the board, you know, doing fights, and it is cool. I ain't gonna lie, it is cool. Music hit, and for what it is, it's for sure cool. And people love that joint. And throughout them having that successful game successful like that, they're able to produce a Stellar Blade. Something completely different than what the, you know, so if you can pop off with a mobile game, a mobile gacha, because folks spending money on that per day. Week after week, month after month, year after year. This game been out for years, and people been spending paper. You know what I mean? It's not like you put out because the rest, it's for sure made more money than fucking Last of Us 2. As great as people say, you know, God of War, Ragnarok, all these single player games, as great as they are, as far as making the money back, it ain't gonna hold no candle. It can't hold no candle. Are people still buying God of War Ragnarok today? Yes, probably so. I'm not a fool. You still have people picking it up here and there. But the amount of people still buying that versus the amount of people still buying whatever they buying, whatever it is on Nick A got his victory, it's just not going. It's no comparison. It's no comparison. You know what I mean? There was a chart that came out about, you know, mobile game revenues and whatnot. I seen freaking PUBG Mobile on that list, and it wasn't low. It was not low. And if you remember when the freak PUBG Mobile came out, this joint had to be about 5 years, 5, 6 years. It's been more than 3-4 years. This joint been out. PUBG Mobile been out for a minute. It might have even been out before that, longer than that, to be honest with you. But they still making a killing, and you for sure buying skins and stuff on there. Skins and currency. It's what you buying on there. And people from the day it released, and of course, obviously it wouldn't still be the same. Well, I don't know. I can't even say that. But day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, multitudes of people are still spending money on that joint. Multitudes. Ain't no telling how much money that game done made. Ain't no telling. So you, and I'm not gonna say everybody can just do it and be successful. Even if the IP is a well-known IP, we seen Square put out the Final Fantasy First Soldier Battle Royale. Foolish to only release this on mobile, but they did it. Did it survive? Nope. Square cannot catch a break with these mobile games. In my opinion, I think they're doing the wrong thing. I think if you look at a lot of these mini games that they put in like Rebirth and Remake and all this type of stuff, a lot of these type of smaller games could potentially translate into a mobile game. That's one thing I do like about the JRPGs, the Japanese RPGs. They'll have like mini games and like card games in there that they could potentially expand upon into mobile game and do okay. And you don't even have to, and that's one other thing I want to touch on with these live service. If it just so happened to go another year, cool. But do have, just be like, you know what? This gonna rock for 2 years. I think if you have an expectation of it's gonna rock for this amount of time, and if it does, and if at the end or the midpoint, you want to extend that, then extend that. I think a big problem is the consumer just not fucking knowing or not having an idea. You know what I mean? And then, of course, for your offline, make the freaking shooting range available or whatever. Or the tutorial. Make that available, call it a day, and it is what it is. Okay, you did your part as far as keep games alive initiative. But the idea of these joints lasting forever, I think is foolish. It's stuff going on right now. Okay, and some more stuff. The Bungie has been devalued and whatever people on the timeline talking about. If Bungie, Destiny 2 should have ended a long time ago. They should have been at EO at end of, after the final shape. That should have been the final joint, and it was the place to stop it. And you see them having issues now because they trying to push it past the legitimate endpoint. No, I'm not saying shut it down, but stop putting the resources into it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just not able to produce what you need to produce to get the people to, come and stay. Because you would drop Renegades, they'll come check it out for a couple of days. But they not staying. So if they said they had a legitimate plan for like, okay, we gonna run Destiny 2 5 years, 4 years, then have an EOL team. I mean, EOS, whatever you want to call it, then like the inner service team to maintain and just do maintenance and make sure ain't nothing broke. And the stuff that is broke, make sure it get fixed. And everybody else, D3. Like they gotta start putting in like a timeline for this stuff. Because people gonna leave. They gonna leave anyway. They're going to leave anyway because what Bungie did, they set an expectation of these huge blockbuster things. And they can't produce the huge blockbuster things, so therefore people going to go check out somewhere else. But if you look at something like Warframe, they don't do this huge stuff all the time. They don't. It's not this huge spectacle stuff all the time. Especially at the rate that Bungie was doing it. So people over there, expectations are quite a bit lower, in my opinion. They run through the mission, collect the resources, they do the things, and enjoy, have a good time. Whereas if you Destiny, you expect the stuff you expect and kind of, they just not able to deliver that right now. Not right now. But yeah, so they got that going on, and but PlayStation, they still up. The only thing they really down on is console sales, which will be alleviated, I believe, once Wolverine and GTA, especially when the GTA come out. You know what I'm saying? So they for sure, I believe they hitting that 100. They hitting that 100 this year for sure. Price increases aside, Bungie evaluation aside, they hitting that 100 this year. And I can't say nothing bad about them. A lot of people want to say PlayStation fell off. PlayStation is, PlayStation that. PlayStation is doing better than they ever done, ever. Even back in the PS3 games when they was producing a lot of these games that people hollering back, they want to come back but didn't buy. They doing way better than that. So that's why I'm like, bro, when you say you gotta be careful, well, you don't got to. You do what you want to, but you should be careful. Because they doing what's working. And they see it working, so they going to keep doing it. As big of a blemish as Bungie is, realistically, they not hurting. We see these big numbers and this type of stuff, but then you look at the amount of money they making, the decisions they making, and of course they're like reeling stuff back and, making certain adjustments, which is cool. A lot of people like to see that type of stuff. It's good. They only gonna do better because of it. I'm not mad at it. I can't, as long as I'm getting fucking games, I don't give a darn. Initially when they was making the live service push, I was getting games and I do like live service, so it was the then they started canceling stuff. So obviously I'm more annoyed then because now I'm not getting nothing. Now I'm not getting a damn thing. But I'm not even so sure if, like, people, I seen individuals say, they was just looking at the amount of money that Bungie is now valued with, and they went on to say, well, think of how many single player games they could have funded. You wasn't gonna get them bitches anyway. You still gonna get the same 5 games a generation that you finna get moving forward, to be honest with you. Because if you look at the studios who producing these games, they are allowed to take as much time as they want to. They not putting out no game in no 3 years. They not putting out no game in 4 years. Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Guerrilla, they can take however long they want to. And you're not getting more than 1 Gran Turismo generation. That's not happening. So at best, you probably getting 5 or 6 or 6 at max first party games a generation. Like straight up PlayStation on PlayStation. You get me? And them not buying Bungie is not getting you 10 or 12. That was never gonna happen. You know, now could they have funded like other projects? Yeah, they for sure could have. But you weren't finna see them soon. You gonna see them sprinkled in, dashed around. That's what you gonna see. You gonna see a partnership here and there, which is what we getting. We getting those. You know what I'm saying? That's how we getting Tokon. That's how we got Stellar Blaze. How we getting I'm not sure if they put any money into Phantom Blade Zero. But you know, Rise of Ronin and stuff like this, we getting all that stuff anyway. I would like to see him now. Gang of Dragon. I wish they'd throw them boys and girls over there some money. They only need like 44 million or something like that. Throw them boys and girls over there because they look cool. That look cool. And is 40,000 a ton of money? Yes. But do PlayStation got it? Yes. Go over there, and you know what? And to be fair, maybe they did reach out, but maybe what they were asking for in return was just too great of an ask for that company and that studio to acquiesce to. You know what I mean? Obviously, in my opinion, they wanted some form of exclusivity. And if I give you 40 million, damn it, I'm getting 40. I'm getting that. Either I'm getting it or you ain't getting it. You know what I'm saying? That's the deal. And is it selfish? Sure. Is it understandable? Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you go to look and see if Xbox and Game Pass had reached out, maybe, or maybe it was a conflict because they do the Yakuza stuff and they do the deals with I don't know. But I would like to see this game come to fruition. It looks cool, bro. And then also judging by the type of games this individual works on, the type of games this individual produces, the gameplay was gonna be heat. The game, because we just seen that Stranger Than Heaven gameplay and the mechanics and different, like how you gonna be able to control the left side attacks with the L and R and the right side. Come on, that is cool. I ain't seen no expansion on combat like that, melee combat like that since For Honor, when you had the directional stuff going on. And that's cool to me. That's cool to me. This is a story about a game that I'm super interested in. I'm actually thinking about doing like a solo, just a straight up video about this joint. Because it does it have the makings to sell like 20 million? No. I don't think it's gonna do that. I think it'll be alright to sell 3-4 million copies. I actually think 3-4 million copies would be amazing. Spectacular. You know, and I do believe that Sony PlayStation has an opportunity right here to, you know, get a diamond in the rough. You know, be a part. And this is what they do. They do stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? That's why they created your China Hero projects, your things like this, Indian Hero projects. You know, and like I said, it could be a conversation. It could have been a conversation, and because I'm sure they wouldn't just be able to get by with the 4. They probably had to throw 10 cents on. I'm not sure how the debt process is. I'm not play games. You get what I'm saying? But I do like the idea, and I would like to see PlayStation just, you know, go ahead and toss them boys and girls that can. You know what I'm saying? I like, because that was a cool announcement. Really cool announcement. And that 40 million could just be to just keep people employed working on it. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily that, you know, they have to, you know, make this new system or make this. I don't know. It could just be for freaking payroll. I don't know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put together a little video because I am interested on it, and I don't want to keep y'all no long. You know what I mean? It's a good Saturday, crisp Saturday. It's a little rainy today, but it's gonna be a good one nonetheless. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Drop a like, drop a comment. I'll be back again next Saturday, 11 in the a.m. GG or Die Podcast. Catch me. Well, not catch me this Tuesday, but catch me the Tuesday following. You get what I'm saying? Over there on the big homie with 777JP, just playing live stream with RPG88. That's another good brother over there. Enjoyed the freak out of Soros, he said. And that's what I'm on. That's where I'll be at. I'll catch y'all outside the next one.